Well, hello and welcome to Create Talks, where we find the good news and we find out what creativity can do in people's lives. I'm with Faith Fu, my dear Faith Fu. You're gonna fall in love with her like I have. She's in third year with me, but believe me, she's already changing the world. She's amazing. But as a photographer and a writer, architect, designer, I mean, Faith, you carry so much in your background. But we have been spearheading an event for the last 2 or 3 months called the Faces of Reading. And we believe it's going to transform our culture here in Reading. But share a little bit about this event and what's going to be happening in 2 days. This is on January the 25th.
Yeah, so as some of you know, most people know, there was the car fire that happened last summer, and a lot of people lost their homes, some people lost their lives. And so the city really wanted to partner with Faces of Reading, who already kind of honored people in the community last year and focus on people that showed kindness and courage in the community. Everyday stories that kind of make you wonder, like, what can I do to help the community and remove that lie that the car fire and its effects are too big, that we can't do anything. It's almost like that parable where that boy had his fish and his bread.
Yeah, come on.
And it's like there's numerous people out here, but I have this. What can you do?
O'clock. It's at City Hall in Reading. That's 777 Cypress. And what's great is that the city has partnered with us. Like the city gave us these names. We helped them as well. And so it's people that the city saw behind the scenes when everything was burning. Where were the animals? Where were people? Who was helping with the evacuation process? Like all these different stories about what happened that nobody would know about. And you know, a city needs to get healed. I mean, part of the process is like everybody can remember, okay, if you lived in Reading, where were you before the car fire? Where were you when it happened? And what was the bios? We also had portrait artists. So share about the power of collaboration. Like this wasn't just like, oh yeah, I think that we'll take care of this, but this was an incredible effort.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. Like when I came and signed up for Faces of Reading, I didn't understand how big of a project it was.
Yeah,
but
I'm a big dreamer.
It's an amazing thing, like collaborating with photographers, portrait artists, and storytellers. So we have around, I don't know the exact number, but around 25 people on our team, Faces of Reading itself. And then we also collaborated with people in like our art apprenticeship, outside artists and writers from another. What that looked like practically was getting those nominees from the city and then calling them, contacting them, emailing them, like lots of emails.
Tons of emails.
Connecting with them, and then once they agreed to have their story featured, then the team would go into 2-3s. And then we would interview them. We sent the questions beforehand, prepared, and basically told them it's going to be a photo shoot of around 15 to 30 minutes. And then from there, just heard their story. We recorded that. The writers wrote a bio of around 300 words, and then we had a portrait artist create their portrait. So it's this whole collaboration of different creatives trying.
And we have an artist who is an incredible musician, Christopher Sims, who will be singing a song that he wrote for the event too. So I just want you to know, like, if you've never seen the power of creativity that can heal people, man, you got to come. And this is live, so if you have any questions for Faith, please let us know. But that's the power of collaboration. I mean, some people go like, okay, what can I do to transform a city? And it's these heroes that just thought of things that not for their own glory, just to help out. And then we as creatives get to then celebrate it. And we're really praying into making this into a book. And we'll showcase on my Facebook also just a little promo about what happened so that you get to
this platform was created because you have a relationship with the city, because you've built that connection with them for years. Then when something like this happened, there was an open door to do that. So like we had the privilege of having the Spaces of Reading set up for us from the get-go. But for people that are wondering, like, what can we do? I think it's just like building relationship, finding those places where you have common ground with government. I think that's important too.
I do too, and I think it's important to know that it's possible, like what you talked about. Like, so many people go, well, that could never happen in my city. I guarantee you that there's crises in every city, and there's things that you can do by, it could be just one artist doing a portrait for a person who lost a family member. It doesn't have to be a huge event. You start with one, and then it'll work up to establishments within Reading, and we shared about this event and put up a poster so that they could get to see it. But share about the behind the scenes. Like, a lot of go, oh my gosh, this is awesome, but there's a lot of different things that happen to make it great.
Where to begin?
We could talk forever about this.
The power of excellence, and I think just being a visionary and seeing what is needed in the long term. I think we need people, dreamers, and also people that know how to dream and also do things practically, like admin people that combine together. And I'm just like blessed because of my previous experience in working as an architectural designer. I have both of those, and so it was just really awesome that I was able to use that for this project. But like having use psychedelic colors when you know that person's more conservative, and thinking about that. And also our team really talked about, I mean, because it's a collaboration, and because I just know from my end as like more of the admin plus photographer side, I don't know what goes on with writing stories or like portraiture. And so in the beginning of the process, we got everyone together and we kind of discussed like, what are your needs and what do you think as a portrait artist, would make this process smoother for you, because I don't have that lens, that perspective. And so having that in the beginning, from the get-go, is really important, so that we could have people like Teresa or other portrait artists outside of our Faces of Writing team come and almost like give them feedback. And we had like 2 to 3 times that we did that, so that on the day we're confident to know that not just that the work is excellent for the honoree, but also to
portraits with 30 different like types of the bio with the photograph. There's so much that has to be level. It has to be covered completely, that we could talk to you about. And so that tireless job, it was a long job, but that's the kind of stuff that is worth fighting for. It's like whenever you do something with excellence, you're going to run into details that don't come up to par, and then you have to think it through and say, okay, Holy Spirit.
I know, there's still some things that, we have to redo that.
Oh my gosh, it was so funny. There was this one guy who he was going to get the fabric, but he had never been to a real fabric store. He had never ever done any of that, and I had to call him and say, hey, where are you? I'm caught in traffic. I don't know what I'm doing. I'll take care of it for you. And just that feeling of, oh my God.
Times where I have to tell myself, yes, there's a lot of eyes that's going to be on this, but I need to also be okay with there's going to be mistakes, and that's a good thing.
Totally.
Like, I think this whole first half of my year has been being okay with the fact that as you excel and as you just put yourself out there, you're going to fail a lot, but that's not a bad thing. Like, failure and mistakes actually matter, and are actually important for you to have eventual success.
Exactly.
And because of that, it actually causes you to excel even more.
Exactly.
Because you're going to give your best, knowing that you don't have to necessarily hit the standard of perfection. And from that point, you can actually go beyond perfection, because it allows you to have more people collaborate with you. It opens doors for you. And you learn through your mistakes.
It's so true.
So, yeah, excellence is like, it's a lot of times people don't step out. Be one of our portrait artists from the art apprenticeship, so probably around like
60.
Like 60, I would say, around 60.
So the people, the heroes, they range from, like, I think the one boy who lost his life was about 20 from Uganda, all the way up until you know, the late 50s.
Probably around 60s. There was this one guy I interviewed from the water treatment plant. He's just like about to retire next year.
So there's that age. And then the people who helped out with the Faces of Writing was the same type of age. So it's a wide variety. There wasn't any certain age, but they all were involved, both men and women. So it was amazing what God did. But I wanted you guys to hear the stories. So she's going to be sharing with you. This is like a quick little so you're getting a little quick promo before anybody else hears about it. So share some stories. They're
Sneak
so
preview. With the firemen came a lot of soot and a lot of dirty laundry. On the first night, Brandy took home some bags of clothes to wash. Yet there was more laundry than one person can wash alone. So Brandy posted on social media to recruit help, and the help came running. 55 people washed 100 loads of laundry per day.
Woo! We're talking about this car fire was long in length. It was about a month long. That's crazy to me.
And your electricity bill and heating.
Totally.
Firemen from other hotels heard about the laundry services and brought their own dirty clothes.
Hello.
Brandy's team
Word
put
got
together a bag and tag method to return the right clothes to the right fireman. I can imagine. That's a lot of people.
Crazy. This is crazy.
How do you make sure it's as smooth as possible? And not one fireman wearing the wrong
Wrong
clothes.
clothes.
Hotel, including coordinating toy drives for the children.
Wow.
The list of things to do went on as Brandy watched her hometown filled with smoke until she couldn't see across the street. What was expected to last a week or two turned into over a month of constant firefighting and more soot, more laundry, and more meals.
Oh my gosh.
Brandy and her family lived in the hotel for 30 days, surrounded by the smell of fire, a smell that stuck to the hotel for some time after the crews left. Throughout the fire, Brandy was a hero who gave of herself, who saw a need and met it. In return, she saw Reading unify around a common goal, and her faith in her hometown was restored. Now, Brandy has a vision to see individuals
Crazy.
That's incredible.
Okay, tell us, you want another one? Yeah, I hear that. Yay!
So this guy is called Rick Lemler. Rick Lemler, who's originally from the Bay Area, has now lived and raised his family in Reading for more than 20 years. As a motorcyclist for Shasta County's Search and Rescue Posse, Rick was a part of the house-to-house evacuations during last summer's car fire. Encased by his helmet and goggles, this man's kind eyes and jovial countenance beamed through the chaos and smoke as he rallied people to seek refuge from the advancing wildfire. Rick is a beacon of light amidst the ashes, as well as a builder of hope when the dust settles. The aftermath of the car fire has left many houses in his neighborhood, as well as his own house, completely razed to the ground.
Wow, so he lost his own house while he was doing this, while he was doing search and rescue.
when our team came to interview him,
Oh, come on.
even though he knew in the back of his mind that his house was destroyed at the same time, he just went and just gave his time to knock on people's doors to make sure
that they were getting
heard
out.
the news. Because I bet there are people that don't, watch the news, or maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, what we don't realize is like these people that went above and beyond into neighborhoods to knock on doors to get out the evacuees that could be older, could not have heard about the news, etc., and then helping them to get out. That's huge.
Yeah, and as a motorcyclist, he said too that there's some places that the police can't go through up, in the foresty areas, and so that's why they ride up there just to send the word out to evacuate. So he probably rode through the fire just for that, and
it's crazy, isn't it?
Put his life on the line just to send the word.
Wow. Well,
A worker named Chris. When Chris was working for Rick, he kicked Rick's radio, sending it flying off the edge of a cliff because he was so annoyed by the Christian radio station that it was always turned on. One time, as Rick's men's group was finishing their time together by praying for one another for a man who had cancer, Chris was invited to come and pray with them. Moved to tears, Rick remembered Chris was blown away by what we were doing, so then he stayed, and afterwards he goes, I want to meet what you guys have. I want to meet the Lord. And he came to the Lord that night.
wow.
A year later, Chris was hit by a train in Shasta Lake and passed away. Chris left behind a tree that he gave to Rick a little before he passed. The tree is now planted in Rick's backyard and is affectionately called the Chris tree. So Rick is a man of great loyalty and love. He will not just fight for his own flesh and blood, but for the ones their backstory so that we can identify with them, not just the heroic acts that they did, but see ourselves in their story and say, well, I'm just an everyday person that is known in my neighborhood. What can I do if something like this happens?
Yeah. This is crazy. Like, we've just gone through just a couple stories, but we could go on and on. There's so many Brandy Merkles out there. We're even going to have a fishbowl of people that we don't know about, or that the city doesn't know about, that people can nominate for us to touch as well.
Yeah.
But what would you say to people that are listening today about the power of cities being transformed in creative ways? After, I mean, we haven't even done the event yet. We will.
I know.
This Friday we'll share stories, but share about how meaningful this is for people that are just like
like a stake in the ground when it comes to full like city transformation.
Yeah.
And so for them, like hearing feedback from them, knowing that their art or like their photograph, just editing a photograph or like taking the time to write a story is actually healing people's hearts.
Yes.
Is a huge deal. And if they can do that with one person and all of us working together to just stop for that one person that you can touch, imagine like all of us as creatives coming together, having that revelation, the impact, citywide impact we can make. And just like, I know that the people that we have interviewed, after the interview process, we just like connect with them. They're just so touched and honored.
Yeah.
Some of them don't even think of themselves as heroes.
Exactly.
Or don't want to have that light on them, you know, they don't want to be in the limelight because they weren't doing these things you can tell that he was a little, I wouldn't use the word shy, just like he doesn't want to have the limelight on him. Like he does incredible stuff for our community. He's a firefighter. But it's just a job, that kind of thing. Like it's just his everyday job. He's passionate about the job, but it's not like he calls himself a hero. And I looked him in the eye and I was like, I don't remember what I said, but I think I just said that, yeah, we'd love to see you there. Thank you for giving us the honor of knowing your story. And our portrait artists are so excited to honor you by creating a portrait for you on the day. And we're so excited to see you there. I'm just like, you know, just encouraging him that he's important and that he's valuable. And
come on.
The impact of me sitting and hearing his story and how many years he was a firefighter, fighting fires that people don't even know about.
I know.
Fighting fires that like are close to the
because it's going to be so needed.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, Faith, I want you just to impart to people that they can transform and that their gift is important. I mean, the thing that's so powerful is like when some of these bios were being read and we were critiquing them, and it's like you could tell these people so took time to create the right word to put into these stories, or the portrait artist or the photographer guys. This is like that little bit is going to like completely transform a person's life. And so your little bit is important for what we can see happen. So
So I'm just reminded of that verse where Jesus was telling the disciples, I'm speaking to them. Jesus was telling the disciples, because they were like, there's these 5,000 men, what can we do? They're hungry and they're need, what do I not have? Think of what you do have, and God wants to multiply it. And if he can multiply meals, he can multiply your creativity. And I've just seen all of the people that have worked on this project, with the little that they thought that they had in the beginning of this process, just flourish. Like they have there's so much acceleration. with people that weren't confident in their creativity and their art, I see them not confident that they could even do one portrait, do two in a matter